بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد السلام الله عليكم ورحمته تعالى. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. We're going to be taking a look, inshallah ta'ala, at a question that I believe is incredibly important. And that is, what is the stance of the deen on matters of superstition? Now that's from a broad perspective. That seems very obvious that the deen does not like things like superstition. So from one perspective, that's a very simple question. It's a very simple question that, yes, obviously the deen doesn't like that. The part that isn't so obvious to people is how much the deen abhors and absolutely detests superstition. You see, everybody accepts that superstition doesn't have or shouldn't have, I say that as in they accept that it shouldn't have a place in the deen. Unfortunately, many Muslims do fall in a practical sense, they fall into the notion that there are superstitions. And they do recognize that Islam isn't so pleased with this, but they don't truly grasp how seriously Islam, the deen, detests superstition, because it negates, it eats away at the very core concept, the pillar that is holding the whole deen, the root from which the deen stems is Tawhid, is the oneness of Allah. Now, what we mean by the oneness of Allah is not just the fact that, Allah is one. That, is absolutely common sense to Muslims. What we are talking about is in superstitions, or with superstitions, people are attributing elements of ghaibi, unseen control and power beyond the apparent to times animate and inanimate objects. They are ascribing subconsciously such power to them that they are saying that these things now have such control over the lives and destiny of people. And I know when I explain it like that, it sounds absurd. But this is the reality. So people say things like, oh, this is bad luck for me. I don't want to do this. This is bad luck. I'm going to, something bad's going to happen now. I've walked under a ladder. I've seen some magpies, or there's a particular number that's unlucky for me. Sometimes people have things with numbers, or there's all sorts. I've read the horoscopes. Something bad is going to happen. Or I've had somebody read my palm and tell me, or somebody has said this will be unlucky for me due to whatever numerology or whatever it is that somebody's looking into. These things, these are very dangerous. They are cancerous to the root of the deen, which is Tawheed. Because they are eating away at that concept that everything in essence is controlled by Allah. When the great Tabi'i Ibn Sirin was once he was asked a question. It was more like somebody made a statement about, as he was about to go into what would have been like a bathroom, if you like. He was about to go into, and somebody made this statement in relation to the dua where you seek refuge min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith, and there's a huge discourse, and so it's not simplistic about what is meant by khubuth wal-khaba'ith, and whether it is things like jinn, or whether it's actual impurities, or whether it's other things, or whether it's waswasa, or whether it's this huge debate on these things. But people had a belief that if you had left out that dua and you went into the toilet, there was a chance that you will be hurt by and people would interpret that as the jinn or as demons or whatever they want to say. These shayateen would hurt you because you've gone into the bathroom and not said Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith. And then people have stories. So and so would always say this dua, and then on one day he forgot to say it, and then this happened. So this is mentioned before Ibn Sirin, and in response to it he says Rabbuna Allahu wahda la sharika la, that he says that our Lord is Allah, the one, on his own, wahda, he alone, la sharik, he has no partner. Don't you start making these things so powerful. Don't you start ascribing such power to these people. And there is a reverse type of I'm calling it a reverse type of superstition, or almost a religious superstition, which is as antagonistic and contrary to Tawheed as these superstitions are. And that is things like saying, and that is an example of almost the Ibn Sirin incident, but it's where somebody says, every day I say this dua, which is excellent. We should be saying du'as and adhkar and things like this. And then they'll say, today I forgot to say that. Something might happen. Because today I'm not protected. Today I'm not. Normally I always read this after subah, or I read this after asar, or I read this after. Today I never read it, and this happened to me. This is a religious rendition, a religious version of superstition. What you are doing is you are once again ascribing these types of powers, negative associations, with what is something in essence good, dhikr and the dua and stuff like this. So yes, dhikr and dua and all these things are an extra bonus if you've done them, and we should be doing them. There's amazing du'as to read after subah, Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'asmihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis sama' wa huwa as-sami' al-alim. And after maghrib, these things are in sahih athar and sunan, that in the name of Allah, with whose name no harm in the heaven and the earth can afflict you. And we read that, and we are taught in the sunnah that this will be a source of protection for us. So it's like saying you are ordinary and now you're extraordinary. You have this extra layer of. What it doesn't mean is if you hadn't said it, that you now somehow feel a layer below. Like you feel like, oh no, all of a sudden evil things are going to happen to me now. Allah is watching over his ibad, over his servants and slaves at all times. Allah does not disappear. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. He is not overcome by sleep nor tiredness. Allah is always there and he is always in control. So to clarify once again, that yes, we all know superstitions are wrong. But at times these things, they have a variety of manifestations. Sometimes they appear in a religious sense. Sometimes they appear in subtle nuances where we think it's wrong, but it's okay to still do it. Okay, I still read horoscopes. Okay, I still do this. I know I'm not supposed to, but no, that is incredibly wrong. Because you don't understand the long-term danger that is to the root of the deen, which is Tawhid. It eats away. And the same thing with certain, people wear things for good luck, or they do this luck concept. It exists in the social understanding. People might say, oh, good luck with this or good luck. And that's different. But in reality, there is no such thing as luck being good or bad. Okay? Hasbunallahu wahda la sharika la, that our Lord alone is Allah, who has none equal or no partners, and none that have true agency in this world besides him. وسبحان الله وتعالى عما يصفون وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على القائل الممنون المدينة خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Okay, so that's done.